Hey guys, I've been deep diving in what do you call it, USB related stuff lately, and also it's not just power related stuff too. That's really deep, and one day I might cover it. It's going to include something like this. That's how far deep I got into it. There, this is a USB like fast charger tester. There's so many different protocols with USB charging. A lot of people don't realize. USB chargers are not dumb like electrical devices. They do have some smarts that you actually have to communicate. Your device communicates with it to tell it what it actually needs. Because now it's not just 5 volts and an X amount of amps. There's a variety. But today it's actually more about USB-C cables, actually even USB-A cables, and USB 3.0 basically, and speeds. Okay, not all of these, even though they're USB-C cables like this one, USB-C to C, does not necessarily means that they can transfer at full speed. Some of these can only transfer at USB 2.0. Some of you guys might know that, but the problem is they don't actually tell you. That's the real problem. Anywhere on the cable itself. And that's hard, and it makes things hard because if you're like me and you just have a bunch of cables, now you got to figure out, well, which one should I use for the fastest speed? Because if I get something like this, which is an NVMe enclosure, which allows you to put those fast SSDs in here, I want to be able to utilize the fastest speeds, take advantage of that. By the way, just in case you guys didn't know, I did make a video of this, a really quick one. It's not that detailed. I didn't really do a detailed one because it's not all that special, except it's toolless. And the only other thing that's nice about it is that it does work with SATA M2 SATA drives, not just NVMe drives. So there is an actual SATA to USB bridging chip or something. The difference, if you guys wonder too, is are the notches. You can tell. Let me see if you guys can see it that way. So basically it's kind of like NVMe drives, which are basically PCI Express by 4 lanes. That's on my right. That's only one notch. And USB-C, I'm sorry, not USB-C. What am I talking about? SATA M2 drives have 2 notches. They are the same profile, as you can see if I overlay them. They're perfectly aligned. The only difference is, of course, NVMe is way faster, and depending on the generation, it'll just continue to get faster. We're on generation 5 coming up already, and actually here already on some of the way newer boards and chips. But SATA, this is just your typical SATA port, if you ever know what SATA is, just in a new form factor, so that you don't have that big, thick, like 2.5 inch enclosure. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that in here. I'm gonna pop in the NVMe because I want to test these speeds and to show you that, hey, if you guys don't know, you must test before you go. Okay, just kind of like just relying on the fact that these are USB-C cables, it should be always the fastest no matter which one you buy. No, gotta test them, especially if you have a bunch of them and you just kind of lump them all together like I did. And I gotta figure out which ones were which. So I'm gonna plug this one in, and then I'm gonna plug this shorter one in. And by the way, length does not really matter, although this is thicker. It's just really about how they're designed, how many of the connectors are being used. I forgot how many there were. I did my research earlier. It's just I don't remember all of them. But if you look at like the actual connectors inside, there's a lot of them, and some of them are being used, some of them are not. And if you're, by the way, my desk is a mess. Sorry about that. So, as always. Anyways, let me put this stuff together, and then we'll do a quick benchmark between these two, and you'll see what I mean. What the huge differences are too, and why it would matter for you. All right, I'm going to use this one first, the one I showed earlier. Okay. Let's see. I am using Fedora. And if there's data in here, I'm only going to do a read test because I don't want it to be destructive. Looks like there is data because I see a file system there. Looks like I've done a benchmark here before. So let's actually do one with the new cable. Oh, hold on. Okay. So you can see, even with my previous test, it's only going as fast as 44.2 megabytes per second. That's basically USB 2.0 speeds. Honestly, I feel like it's a little lower than that, because I believe you should be able to get 50 to 60 megabytes per second with USB 2.0. So there's some overhead or something. All right, so that's with this cable. I'm going to swap it out with now this cable, and you'll see what I mean and what a difference it would make. All right, so you can see I just plugged it back in. It just redetected the drive. You can even see that. But now I'm using the shorter cable. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. Hey, it's messing with my touchpad. Benchmark. Oh, I chose the wrong disk. Hold on, cancel? I was on the wrong disk. Come on, close. All right, yeah, sorry, I was choosing the wrong disk. I'll get this one. So that's the previous score. It's already done. 1 gigabyte per second. It's so fast that it just went by too quick. Come on. I really hate the pad here. Let's make it 100 megabyte samples. See if it prolongs it a bit. There you go. It's giving it some room to stretch. It's gone all the way up to 1.1. So that's USB 3.1 Gen 2 speeds, I believe. So there you go. What a difference a cable makes, you know, on something like this. So if you have a fast external drive, like an NVMe based drive, just remember USB cables do matter. Whatever comes with it is probably the fast one, so keep it with you. I don't know if you saw the embossment on here, but it has the same logo as this one. This one kind of rubbed away. This came with it, and you know, that was the best performance. Now, if you're like me, like I said, sometimes you don't care. You just like, that's a cable, it's a cable. I'll just pick the one that is in my pile that's the right length for me, that, you know, that feels comfortable. Well, when you do that and you don't take into account which cable, you know, has high speed and which one doesn't, then you will end up shortchanging yourself. So that's this is why I love and hate USB-C for that reason. Love it because at the minimum they will always work with a lot of stuff, right? Except for Thunderbolt, which is a whole other thing, but uses the same connector. Again, that's the thing I don't like about USB-C, is that it's confusing as hell, you know? The same connector, same, you know, same looking cables, so many different capabilities and limitations, and sometimes not limitations. And there's just no way to actually look at it and determine what kind of capabilities they have. And here's the other crazy thing. Just because that one is the fast one, you think, oh, that's got a lot more stuff on it. No, because as a charging cable, it doesn't have an E marker chip on these. So if you plug it into one of those chargers, like the fast chargers, it's not going to tell it. It can handle, like certain amount of voltage, certain amount of amperage. And then the problem becomes the charger will just default to the lowest common denominator, and you won't get your fast charge just because you were using the wrong cable. Isn't that messed up? Again, this is why I got really, really into this, and that's why I got one of these things to play around with. I'm still not familiar with it yet. I will get a little better with it. Maybe I'll make a video on it. I also have a nice, not anywhere near it right now, but I just bought also a, the Basis car charger you saw. That's also what got me into it, partially. I was already kind of into it, and that's why I bought that one. And I also bought a very small, physically small charger. It just plugs into the outlet, but it can do 65 watts. That was amazing to me. I saw a really small one. It was physically small. It was just slightly bigger than like your typical iPhone charger from back when Apple used to include them with their iPhones. It's only slightly bigger than that. Just slightly bigger than that. It was heavier too, though. So, it was definitely a substantial charger. But that little size, it can do 65 watts, which is crazy. So I bought that. And so I'm also testing it with this. I'm going to test it with that. I'm going to all of that stuff. So don't know if I'm going to make a video of it or not. Like I said, when I make videos, it's typically that's something that I feel like I can do and explain on camera without going too long or getting too complicated. And remember, my channel is all about me and tech and, what I'm interested in, what I'm deep diving. Right now, I'm deep diving into this. I know you cassette people are kind of going to be upset with me. Please stay with me if you really do like my content. It's all a variety. It's not just cassette. But, eventually we'll probably get back to it too, because as you saw, I had a lot of stereo stuff happening. And also I sent all of my stuff, a lot of my stuff to get repaired, by the way. So the Nakamichi TA 3A, 4A, that CD player, the CDC 3A, and my JVC, if you guys remember, the TDV661. If you recall, back in my old video, I did a calibration on that thing internally using, I thought I was doing it right anyways, using the service manual and everything. I don't know if it's true, if I did it right or not, of course, but somebody on the comments said that I did it wrong, and that only adjusted the meter, not the actual calibration. And so that freaked me out. I can never trust that deck anymore. So if I was actually right, well, then you kind of screwed me over, because I didn't believe in what I just did. So if you were right, though, thank you, because then it kind of, I didn't want to be using a out of calibrated, like out of whack cassette deck. So that's going to get repaired too by a professional. So I have four components getting repaired. Also, excitingly enough, and this was very hard for me too, finding someone who's willing to work on small things like Walkmans. Remember, I had a bunch of them. By the way, the Sony one, I gifted it already to an ex before she was an ex. I am not that kind of person who would ask for something back, so it was a really cool cheap little Walkman. I wish I had it. Maybe with if universe, aligns and everything, and sun, stars and moons and all that stuff, I might get another one. But it was nostalgic because I had that similar Walkman in high school. But I did have 3 Walkmans. As you guys remember, 2 of them were new old stock Ace, what do you call, Iowa's PC, what was it? PC 202 or something like that, Mark IIIs. And then my dad, which is an Iowa HS J35 or something like that. I had a hard time finding information on that J35 because I think it's only an Asian model. My dad got it imported from Hong Kong. His brother, my uncle, who used to live there, I don't know if he moved back there, but this was back in like the 90s. He sent him that. I think my dad probably bought it from him or paid him money to get it from him. I don't know, but I was young. I just remember getting parcels from Hong Kong and always getting excited because there's always some random goodies. Random to me because I don't know what, my mom and dad talked to, my uncle and what they were pre-planning on getting or wanting to get. But that Iowa Walkman was one of them, and I was always excited for that thing. Of course, Dad won't let me touch it. And I sneaked it out. I sneaked it out one time when he forgot to lock the door, and I accidentally plugged in the AC adapter with way too high of a voltage and burnt it. Crazily, it still worked. It just smells a little burnt. My dad always wondered why, but I wasn't going to tell, but it was working. So that's why it's being repaired too. Now that it's handed it down to me, I'm going to get that fixed, but also because the belts were melted. So I'm getting that replaced too. So I'm hoping to get that old school Iowa. So I'm definitely going to make a video of that if that is repaired, because there isn't a whole lot of Walkmans that record, and that one does. I always like the idea of a very portable Walkman, stereo playback Walkman that can also record. So I will definitely make a video of that when it comes back in working order. All right. I'm so bad at goodbyes. You guys could have probably just stopped early when this was done. But yeah, I guess that's a combination of explanation of these cable things and also an update of what I've been up to. So that's it. I guess I will see you next time. Bye.